It was just an ordinary afternoon. I was at home, folding laundry, sipping my coffee, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. A little confused, I walked over and opened the door. And there he was, a delivery guy holding the most stunning bouquet of red roses I'd ever seen. My heart instantly skipped a beat. Oh, Mark. What's this about? I thought, already feeling my face warm with a smile. You know, moments like this, they catch you off guard in the best way. Maybe it was an early anniversary surprise, or maybe Mark was just being thoughtful, reminding me how much he loved me. Either way, my chest filled with that warm, fluttery kind of excitement. After all these years together, surprises like this were rare. But when they happened, they meant everything. As I carried the bouquet inside, the sweet scent of fresh roses wrapped around me like a little cloud of happiness. My hands were actually trembling a bit, the good kind of trembling, as I reached for the tiny white envelope tucked between the flowers. My smile grew wider. This was it. That little note that would say something like, "I love you. You mean the world to me." I opened it, and that's when everything shattered. I read the words once, then twice, then a third time. No. No, no, no. This couldn't be right. The card didn't say my name. It didn't even say anything that made sense for me. Instead, it said, "I can't stop thinking about last night. Being with you feels like home. I love you, Camilla." Camilla. Who the hell is Camilla? My hands started shaking, but not in the sweet, nervous way from before. This was different. My heart dropped straight to my stomach. My mouth went dry. This wasn't a love note meant for me. This wasn't mine. My name wasn't even there. For a few seconds, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think straight. My brain scrambled, searching for some kind of logical explanation. A mistake. It had to be a mistake. Maybe it was delivered to the wrong house. Maybe anything but what it looked like. Clutching the card like it might somehow change if I just stared at it long enough, I rushed back to the door. I flipped over the delivery tag, practically begging for it to show a different name. But no. There it was. Clear as day. My name. My full name. My address. Perfectly correct. This wasn't the florist's mistake. Oh no. This was Mark's mistake. My husband, my partner, my supposed soulmate. And it wasn't just some careless slip-up. No. It was a full-blown confession, delivered straight to my doorstep, wrapped in roses. I stood there, gripping that card, feeling my world tilt sideways. My heart pounded in my ears, and this sickening wave of realization washed over me. Something deep inside whispered, "This changes everything." For a few seconds, I just stood there, frozen. My mind desperately tried to convince me that this wasn't real, that there had to be some explanation. Maybe the florist messed up. Maybe there was another Mark somewhere in the neighborhood, one who also happened to have a Camilla in his life. Right? Please, let that be it. But deep down, I already knew. I could feel it in my bones, in my gut. The kind of knowing that makes your stomach turn and your chest tighten like you're being crushed from the inside out. I looked down at the card again. The sender's name was right there. Clear. Bold. Mark. My Mark. My hands trembled as reality crashed over me like a tidal wave. He didn't just send flowers, he sent love. And not to me. Oh God, not to me. I scrambled, flipping the delivery label over one more time, praying, just praying, that I'd find something wrong. A misspelling, a wrong street number, anything. But there it was. My name, my full name, my address. Perfectly correct, perfectly intentional. My knees felt weak. I had to grip the edge of the counter just to steady myself. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might crack open my ribs. No. This wasn't some random mistake. This was Mark's mistake. His betrayal. His guilt. Delivered straight to me. It's strange, how something as beautiful as a bouquet of roses can suddenly look like a weapon. A cruel, twisted joke played by the person you trusted most in this world. I paced the kitchen, clutching that card like it was some kind of ticking time bomb. My mind was racing. Flashes of every late night, every unanswered text, every sudden business trip. They all started flooding back. Pieces that never quite fit before, now clicked together with terrifying clarity. I could feel my chest tighten, this suffocating mix of rage, humiliation, and heartbreak. How long? How long had this been going on right under my nose? How many lies? How many secrets? And worst of all, how did he become the kind of man who could do this to me? And just like that, the shock started to fade. Something else, something sharper, started to rise inside me. At first, I thought the pain would swallow me whole. I mean, how could it not? The man I built my life with, the man I trusted with every fiber of my being, had turned me into the punchline of some cruel, secret joke. But after the wave of heartbreak came something else. Something sharper. Something stronger. Anger. Not the reckless kind, no. This was different. It was cold. Focused. Precise. I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and realized I wasn't going to be anyone's fool. Not now. Not ever again. If Mark thought he could betray me and get away with it, he had no idea who he was dealing with. I grabbed my laptop. My hands were still shaking, but this time, not from sadness. I started digging. Phone records, credit card statements, old receipts. Every tiny breadcrumb he didn't think twice about. I hunted them all down, and let me tell you, it didn't take long. Dinner reservations I'd never heard of. Hotel bookings that made no sense. Little charges, flowers, chocolates, gifts that suddenly had a whole new meaning. I sat there watching the truth unfold in front of me like a sick movie, starring him. Every lie he ever told me now had a receipt to match. Every time he said, "I'm working late," or "It's just a guy's night out." Oh yeah. There it was, plain as day, sitting right there in the statements. He hadn't even bothered to hide it well. Because why would he? He thought I would never look. He thought I trusted him too much to ever question. And you know what? That realization hit me harder than anything else. He didn't just betray me. He underestimated me. That was his biggest mistake. I started taking pictures, screenshots, photos of the card, of the bouquet, of every single shred of evidence. I made folders. I backed them up. Twice. I wasn't leaving any room for doubt. Not for him. Not for me. Not for anyone. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't just heartbreak. This was humiliation. A slap in the face from the very person who swore to protect my heart. And if he thought for a second that I was going to crumble quietly in some corner, oh no, he was about to learn exactly what happens when you push the wrong woman too far. In that moment, sitting there surrounded by receipts, screenshots, and broken promises, I made myself a vow. I would not be the victim in this story. I spent the entire day planning it. And not in anger, not in some wild, screaming meltdown. No, I was calm, focused, almost eerily calm. It's funny how clarity can hit you the moment you stop begging for answers you already know. This wasn't going to be a fight. There would be no shouting, no tears, no pleading. No, this was going to be something far more memorable. I set the dining table perfectly, white linen, candles, his favorite wine breathing on the counter. The bouquet, his bouquet, sitting right in the center like a trophy. And the card? Oh, the card was framed. Yes, framed. Sitting right next to his wine glass, where he couldn't possibly miss it. When I heard his car pull up, my hands didn't even shake, not this time. I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down, crossed my legs, and waited. Calm. Composed. Ready. The door opened. I heard his usual, "Hey babe, I'm home." Like nothing had happened. Like the man who just walked through that door wasn't the same man who'd sent a love letter, in flower form, to another woman. He walked into the dining room, and the second his eyes landed on the table, I watched the color drain from his face. Completely. Gone. His smile fell so fast it was almost comical. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Just this little gasp, like the air had been sucked right out of his lungs. I tilted my head slightly, took a slow sip of my wine, and smiled. "I think these were meant for someone else," I said, my voice steady, almost sweet. "But thank you, because they helped me see everything I needed to." The silence that followed was delicious. He stuttered, fumbled, eyes darting from the card to me, back to the flowers, then back to me. Hands in his pockets, then out, then back in. He tried to speak, but all that came out were half-formed excuses, broken sentences, and this pathetic attempt at looking confused. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stood up, walked over to him, and with a steady breath said, "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pack your things. And your next delivery? Yeah. It won't be coming here." I didn't wait for his reaction. I turned. Walked away. Because I was done. Done being blindsided. Done being disrespected. Done being the woman he thought would never leave. The days that followed, they were a whirlwind. You'd think I'd be drowning in sadness or curled up in bed, but no. Surprisingly, it felt like breathing again, like I'd been holding my breath for years and didn't even realize it. The very first thing I did, filed for divorce, no second guesses, no long conversations, just done. I blocked his number. Blocked Camilla's too. Yes, I found her number. And before Mark even had the chance to start spinning his little web of lies to family and friends, I beat him to it. I told everyone. I controlled the story. My story. And you know what? Watching him scramble, trying to do damage control while I stood there, calm and composed, was empowering. There was no sadness left for him. Only this burning desire to reclaim every single part of myself that I'd buried for the sake of that marriage. I threw myself into therapy, into healing, into rediscovering the version of me that existed long before I was ever Mark's wife. I started doing things I hadn't done in years, traveling, dancing, cooking meals that were just for me, no compromises, no, "What do you feel like eating, honey?" Just what I wanted. I began filling my home with things that made me happy. New furniture, new photos, new memories. Every corner of that house, the one that once felt suffocating, slowly transformed into a sanctuary. My sanctuary. My safe space. It wasn't about moving on to someone else. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about something way bigger. It was about me. About remembering that I was, and always had been, enough. A few months later, I was walking past this little flower shop downtown. I paused, watched as the florist arranged this stunning bouquet of roses in the window, and for a split second, I felt that familiar sting in my chest. But it was different now, softer. I smiled. Not because I was thinking about Mark. Not because I missed him, but because I realized something. Funny, the flowers that were supposed to break me actually set me free. I walked away that day feeling lighter than I had in years, stronger, wiser, and so proud of the woman who refused to let betrayal define her, and instead chose to let it liberate her.